All right, are we live? Let's find out together. Go to my channel, leave, front page. It looks like it's showing the Paladin Oaths. And hey, all right, it looks like I'm here. So let me make sure my volume's okay. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Volume's okay. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Check. Volume's okay. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, it's good enough. I always sound a little quiet. Let's see if I can nudge my shit up a bit. There, that's probably going to be good. Okay, cool. I got some social media posts to do, so I'm going to attempt to distract you with my background origin story while I do so. If you're here in the future, catching this after the stream, skip forward like a minute, and then you can see what we're getting into. For those of us that are trapped here now in time space or haven't been here before and you're seeing the channel from the future, hey, my name is Theurgy. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish online. I've been an RPG enthusiast and a DM since 1987. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1995. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I've been creating content for 5th edition, publishing on DMsGuild since 2017. So when Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica and other Magic the Gathering settings started coming out from Wizards of the Coast, there was a lot of expectation, at least from me and other MTG D&D enthusiasts, that we would have a color mana system to use in a role-playing game since Wizards owns both MTG and D&D. Didn't happen. That's what got me started on making content for DMsGuild. So I designed the color mana spell point variant rule system that converts the 8 schools of magic and spell slots into a 5 color mana system. It's called the 5 color mana spell slots. Give me a second here, I'll show you. But my social media updating is done. So if you're on the X Twitter platform, I'm at Theurgy. You can catch me there and follow to get like coupons and looks at the illustrations that we've done and stuff. Here on YouTube, if you want to support the channel, like, subscribe. Hey, more subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications. Here, we're on episode 164 of developing the Martial Power System. And the full playlist from episode and ideation is here. The actual playtest content is here on my Patreon. You don't have to be a Patreon member to access this information, but if you do, God bless you. Click here to go to our live stream. Otherwise, if you click Martial Powers, it'll pop open a Google Doc. It'll be read-only for you, but you can read the entire document from tip to tail. It's currently 130 pages, including the 2014 variants for all the different subclasses that aren't in the 2024 book at the back end, all the monster stuff, magic item stuff. It also has the entire Alpha Draft DM toolkit for the color mana Rubble Belt hex crawl system that I've been developing. They're technically square tiles, so but it's a crawl system, right? Where you randomly generate land with different colors, and then depending on what colors are in that land, will determine what kind of creatures, enchantments, hazards, and like artifice and stuff like that are roaming free or have gone rogue in the Rubble Belt wasteland between points of light. In my campaign, Ravnica is a point of light system where there is Metropolis, but they're hundreds or thousands of miles apart from each other. And all the space in between is just Mad Max wasteland that's been destroyed by dune worms, basically like 20-mile long worms that'll surface. They'll be a half-mile wide. They'll surface, destroy entire blocks or miles worth of city, and then sink back down. And it takes so long to rebuild infrastructure that if there's a surge of worm activity, they just fall behind and can never catch up. So it used to be an entire city covered with an entire world covered with a city, but Simic or something went wrong, and these worms started to become more common. They always existed, but they were manageable. But they had become more prevalent in past centuries to the point where they're more active. This could just be a natural cycle, and they just didn't recognize the pattern. It's like never come up. Who knows? But now they're at a point where they only have like maybe like a metropolis might only have like 100 miles space that it occupies, and it'll be like 1,000 miles, and there'll be another 100 miles of space, and like maybe 400 miles, and then another 100 miles of space will be city. The only reliable way to get from one urban center to another is by ornithopter, which are airships basically that don't have enough oomph to go into wild space. Though that's an option is messing around with right now to get away from the worms that will eventually destroy the planet. They've got to leave. They got to go someplace else. So they're working on Spelljammer technology to take them out into the astral to get away from here. But for now, they've got ornithopters that can transport materials and people from one urban center to another across the wastelands. The campaign toolkit that we built for this was if one of those ornithopters goes down by hitting a dispel magic storm, or being attacked by flying monsters, or sabotage, or who knows, whatever. Anyway, the ship goes down in the wasteland, and your characters were aboard the passengers, and now there's a bunch of non-player characters that are dependent on you to help find a way out or a way to call home. The ship is destroyed. They can't do anything with it. Gather your supplies and let's go roam, and that becomes your hex crawl. That's a toolkit that we've been using. We play tested at level 3, 4, 5, and 6 this past 6 months, and it works. It works well enough that I could build that into a toy for folks to buy on DMsGuild. So it's on the block for me to develop. So you can keep an eye out for that in the future. And that was just a playtest environment that we built to use the martial power system inside of. But that's at the tail end of this. This is why I was saying that. The martial power. Okay, so here in YouTube, if you check all my books here, Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica, we'll be working on that next with Spellpoint Warlocks after we finish taking care of the Paladin today. Spelljammer Combat and Exploration rebuilds combat to work at 50 and 500 foot scale, and the team working and combining their action economy to make a ship work more efficiently than they would be able to do things on their own. So it's a really dynamic way to be able to change combat into a sort of group combat / I'm going to contribute my action economy for you to succeed at your task, and whatever's left over I'm going to use to do my thing on my initiative. It's a really fun way to blend it, and it has changing scales, so you can have 50-foot TIE fighters or like 500-foot vessels be able to perform ranged and melee combat the same as they would if you were using a 5-foot square grid with pixies versus, I don't know, griffins fighting each other. It works effectively the exact same way. So check that out. Again, full preview, but there's like 120 different maps and assets in there. The color mana system here. It's basically just to pontificate here, for those that knows, you can sing along, but for the new people out there that are checking out the channel, the 5 color mana spell point variant rule system replaces the 8 schools of magic and spell slots from D&D and gives you a 5 color mana system for spell casting. This is the free revised color mana spell point variant rules. I'm going to be rebuilding all of these books for 2024, so these will still be available for 2014 enthusiasts. You just gotta grab an older copy when you pick it up. But I'll be updating all these books, and again, everything's always free preview. It's you buy my books to encourage me to make more, not because you want access to this one. This one's already out there for you, and if you're a fan of my channel, you'll watch me build all these things with you, so you know what the story is. You're just supporting it. It's kind of like a reverse Kickstarter. So cheers to that, guys. Each color of magic, each color has a certain set of like tags or like code or like mechanical things that exist inside of D&D. So like divinity, healing, light, protection, restraint, that's kind of like what white is. While black, for instance, is control, entropy, fear, soul, darkness. You see the difference there? This is like setting up limitations and barriers against things that would take away from you, while black is setting up controls and limitations on people in a way to take away from them. So it's like the reverse. Black and white are the reverse from each other, but they both have access to like this divinity as well as soul magic and entropy. While green has its tags are related with animals, healing, plant, nature, spirits. While say red is aggression, earth, emotion, energy, impulse. I should have fire listed in there, so we'll update this stuff. But each of the colors have their own little definitions, and then there's the damage types in D&D. There's 10 damage types, and each color has 4 different damage types that are like there's a connection. There's what's the word? An affinity between each color and damage type that's very evident in Magic the Gathering cards. So like white has cold, force, psychic, and radiant damage. Blue energy is cold, force, psychic, and thunder damage, while black energy is acid, necrotic, poison, psychic. Red, fire, force, lightning, and thunder. Green is acid, cold, poison, and thunder. It's just you don't have to look at them too much and go, yeah, that makes sense. And all the cards in the Magic the Gathering coincide and make sense with how this damage works. So, with very few exceptions out of thousands of cards, like there's like one blue card that talks about lightning, that does damage, for instance. And so we can use those tenets, these aspects of Magic, and the damage that they deal to be able to create a conversion guide for what color each spell would be. So if we go down to like Featherfall is blue and green. Green because of nature, weather, and blue is like sky. So both of those make sense. Fog Cloud, same thing, like water, mist, clouds, and weather and nature for green. So blue and green for Fog Cloud makes sense, while Goodberry provides healing and protection and is a berry, so it's natural as well as healing. So white and green makes sense there. But you get down to something like what's a good one? I know there's a thing. There it is. Elemental Weapon. Elemental Weapon, you get to choose what type of damage that you do, what kind of damage you can deal. So it's white, blue, black, red, green. You can choose any color mana to be able to use that spell. And if you want to be a hard nose about it, if you choose white, you can only use cold damage. Or if you use blue, you can use like cold or thunder damage or lightning damage. Like you can be hard nosed about how you use your mana. Depending, that's up to you though. That's just a player choice. The DM could house rule it, but you really don't need to. It's up to the player to decide how far down the rabbit hole they want to go with this stuff. It's calibrated for just any point can be cast on anything. That's how it's calibrated. So if you want to impose limitations by, like for example, to throw a fireball, it's a red spell. It's a 3rd level spell. You have to spend 3 mana to cast fireball. One color, if you're being hard nosed about mana, then you'll take your mana pool and you'll devote each point to a specific color. So if I want to throw a fireball, I have to spend 3 mana. 1 point is red. If I have like 10 mana and like 3 is red and 7 is black, then I can only cast 3 red spells before I'm out, and I can't cast any red spells until I get red mana back in my pool. And whenever I take a short rest, even if I don't get mana back on a short rest, when I take a short rest, I can change what color each point of mana is devoted to until I take the next rest. And whether you're whether you restore your mana when you take a short or a long rest, again, when you do, you can just redefine what color everything is. So you can align your spell list colors with how you like to blend your mana pool, and you can decide what type of mana what colors you want your mana based on the philosophies and beliefs that you want as a role play to depict your character as. Like my sorcerer in Curse of Strahd is a divine sorcerer of Selûne, which is the goddess of the moon. So that's a nature spirit. So the mana colors that I use for my sorcerer is white and green, which gives me access, because I'm a divine sorcerer, I have access to both lists. So I have Guiding Bolt, which is white, Bless, which is white, Green, which is both white and green, Web, and then I picked up Knock. Knock is a blue spell, so I learned it twice. So I could learn it as blue, and then I learned it twice so I could change it to a color that I wanted, which I turned it to green. Knock's actually a great spell, because there are multiple, we don't have a rogue in our party, so multiple times we've needed to crack something open, Knocks come in handy. Plus you can hear it up to 300 feet away, so if you toss down a Knock spell onto something, it immediately grabs everyone's attention. So there's been a lot of really great distraction opportunities for me. It's a 2nd level spell, it costs 2 mana to toss it, but it's been worth it every time I've used it. So it just happens that playing as a Selûne, Selesnya style white-green mana sorcerer gives me every spell that I want to cherry pick off of the sorcerer and the cleric list naturally, because that's the kind of character I wanted to play. It just turned out that our whole team decided to be worshippers of Selûne. So that really fucking worked out. That was great. But that's how you can lean into the narrative of it. And that's a really quick demonstration of how you can use color mana. The DM doesn't care. He's just like, use spell slots, use spell points. I don't care. Do what you want. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm enforcing color onto myself because I have so much spell flexibility and so much mana compared to like the ranger, the fighter, the paladin on the team, that I'm overwhelming them with mana power, and I have so much guiding bolt that I can afford to self-nerf myself that way, just as a personal challenge. Hey, Saz, how you doing? I'm ranting. I'm doing my prep ramp. So that's how the color mana system works. So for the martial power system, this system is great because it provides that color magic system for spellcasters. That's only half the classes in the game. So we also have built out Knights and Tricksters, which is custom options for Arcane Tricksters and Eldritch Knights. But in the martial power system, we're leaning into a non-spellcasting magic system, so all 13 classes can use the same mana system, so there's a commonality between all 13 classes. So you can do cool things like, if you want to attack that legendary creature, you have to spend 2 points of mana to get through its ward. And if you don't spend 2 points of mana, you can't target it this round. Like, you can do cool stuff like that if everyone has the same mana battery that they're working off of. Or like, here's a magical trap that your team encounters. You could attempt to disarm it, or you could spend a point of mana to temporarily disable it if you wanted to. Like, you can do cool little mana tricks like that. Since everyone's going to have access to mana, it then becomes a group activity. Hey, who's got some mana they can contribute for us? Like in one of the adventures I had, they got an ornithopter off the ground, but it was only going to stay afloat for like maybe 10 miles at most. So, but it took 10 mana to get the engine to turn over so they could fire it up to get it to take off. And the team was 5th level. They're like, we're kind of beat up here, and we can't take a short rest because we're trying to run away from creatures. Who has enough mana? And then everyone chipped in some mana so they could put in enough juice into the battery to make the ornithopter work. It gave them 10 miles of movement in a round, and then it crashed again, but they were out of the threat area, and they repositioned themselves in the Rebel Belt. So, but that is a really cool way that you can utilize, again, this as a language. Like if you're in an Azorius facility, and if you want to get past a security door, you can do so by spending 1 point of white and blue mana, because only Azorius would have both white and blue mana normally. Unless like you're a Dimir priest, you're a Dimir trickster that's changing their mana pool to look like the colors of whoever they're emulating. That's how they can lie their way into different facilities, by disguising the color of their mana. So it's just there's like, you can go so far down the rabbit hole of making a world that's narratively aligned with this color mechanic as a visual narrative tool that now has mechanical background for your characters to build their character to align with the kind of mana that they use. It's a really fun narrative tool. And it just happens to be a super fucking cool mechanical system for characters as well. So I'm geeking out a little bit, but that's my right, because I made all this shit. So we're working on the Paladin. When we were here yesterday, we finished the Paladin scaffold, and we revised the features in the Paladin. So like lay on hands, if you spend 5 points of hit points, you can heal a point of mana for yourself or somebody else. So Paladin is now a mana battery. The Paladin smite, hold on. What? I remember we talked about Niv and how... Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. Fucking A. Yeah, you can put that on any creature at all, and you can use different types of warding effects. It could be mana. It could be like you have to sacrifice a hit die, or like you have to like you can hit it, but you'll be at -10 to attack as a ward. Or like you can hit it, but you'll have to deal half damage unless you spend 3 points of mana. Then you can deal normal damage. So you can, since a mana pool becomes a resource pool that everyone can dip into, you can make universal things to be able to manipulate with that. So it just becomes a resource you can spend on stuff. Very fun. Channel of Divinity works as it's supposed to, but if you spend 2 points of mana, you can gain a use of it back. You get all of your uses on a long rest. You get 1 use on a short rest, and we allow you to spend 2 points of mana to get them back. I am thrilled to see that that they have decided to go with in the Paladin that they now allow the Paladin to spend a 5th level spell slot to gain another use of their 20th level aura feature. That's something that we had implemented in here about, I want to say 10 months ago. And fantastic. Just, I love when Wizards agrees with my ideas. I just wish they'd spend a little bit more time on combat masteries to take it to where we brought it to. But they'll probably get there eventually. So yeah, I'm kind of throwing shade, but give me a break. It's the system could be better, and here's a lot of reasons how. So I'll try not to be on my high horse too much. Boasting isn't a flattering trait. But it excites me when the ideas that I have for where I want to take the game are the same directions that Wizards goes, and frees up more options and like makes things more useful. That's what I like, making things more useful, allowing you to make more choices with the things that you have access to. So that was and then so that's how Lay on Hands works now, and that's how Channel Divinity works. And the Paladin Smite now, anyone can smite by spending mana when you hit, assuming that you know how to use a strike power. And there's what, 26 different smite powers. We're gonna drop down to our list of powers because we'll be spending some time in here today. Yeah, we have 26 different strike powers that anyone can use. If you're a martial character, anyone can do that. But the Paladin, when they made that change in 2024, that a Paladin uses the smite spell as a bonus spell, that was a great opportunity for us to lean into the empowered action system that we had developed, where you sacrifice action economy during your turn to generate free mana so that you can pop off more abilities or higher rank abilities than what you would normally be able to do with the power with the pool of mana that you have. Because we're on a short rest, we're on a 20-point short rest monk system, right? And that's not a lot of mana, but if you have the ability to generate free mana, then, and you can only generate mana like this while you're inside of initiative. So if the DM wants to give you free mana right now, just roll for initiative. Like if you're dealing with a trap or a puzzle that's going to be mana intensive, then you can just say, hey, everyone roll initiative. This trap is timed, or this puzzle is timed, and everyone's going to take a turn with it. Now you have them on an initiative clock. So all of your marshals can basically generate free mana to deal with whatever threat they're dealing with right now. Threat's over, we drop out of initiative. Now they have to actually use their own mana pool if they want to do exploration or social engagement using powers. So that's a way that you can pace a martial character with a low ceiling for total mana, but to be able to spam it infinitely, which scales well against full casters, because we did a mana breakdown 3 sessions ago, which basically demonstrated that all the full casters at this point are basically getting 100 mana per long rest through different cheats and adds and whatever little embellishments that that Wizards has added to classes in 2024. All of the full casters are essentially gaining 100 points of mana per day. And again, in my system, it's you spend 1 mana per level of spell. 9th level spell, 9 mana. 1st level spell, 1 mana. Bob's your uncle. But with the different cheat systems that we have in here, or ways to generate free mana, your characters, even though they only have a 20 mana on a short rest supply, is going to end up likely spending about 100-ish mana a day if you completely cap out all of your resources per day. So technically, this one gets mana quickly, but can't spend a lot of it at a time. While full casters get a huge bucket and can just drop huge amounts of mana over and over again until they burn out their pool for the day with very little replenishment. So it's a different sort of pacing. So everyone other than full casters are now on a short rest. So the Paladin, the Ranger, the Artificer, and the Warlock all use this monk mana progression style. And then you have a ton of prep powers, and you have your power die here, which just modifies your die rolls. And then your max rank is on a half casting progression. So the way that this works with the Paladin, I'll get to you in a second. The way that this works with the Paladin Smite is when you use your empowered actions, depending on when you use your bonus action, you gain mana. So like if I want to like make 2 attacks, I could, and that's all I plan on doing. I could swap my like at 11th like when I gain access to 3rd rank powers at 9th level, like an 11th level fighter would have 3 attacks. I could make 3 attacks. And I could use my bonus action to create 2 points of mana that I could then spend to either improve my attack rolls or to implement strikes to deal more damage and cause conditions on hit. I could also, if I don't plan on moving, like if I'm in a sniper's nest as a ranged fighter, I can every round cash in my movement since I don't plan on moving to gain a free point of mana. So I can like ramp up my sniper damage, or I can ramp up my chance of hitting the target, or creating a barrier to blind people, or like to become invisible so they can't see me attacking. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do as a sniper. So if you're just going to stand still and just take one sniper shot per round, you can cash in your movement for 1 point, and depending on what rank of power you have, first level, 9th level, 17th level, you generate 1, 2, or 3 points of mana with your bonus action. And then every attack that you sacrifice gives you an extra point as well. So if you had an 11th level ranger that's built a sniper's blind, has 2 attacks, isn't gonna move, it uses maybe its first round is observing its target. It uses its bonus action to activate Mark of Prey. So now the target that it's tracking, its sniper's target, is now its prey. So it waits for the moment. It comes through on the next round. He makes a shot. He cashes in his movement. He cashes in 2 points of temporary mana, and he cashes in his extra attack. That's 4 points of free mana that he gets. And then he's going to use Hunter's Mark, Mark of Prey, to gain an extra point of mana to target the creature. He now has 5 points to spend on one shot. He's going to spend 2 of those points to up the amount of to automatically gain advantage on the attack, and to roll 2 power dice and then add the highest result. At 9th level, it'll be a d8, so like maybe he rolls a 7. So he's going to make his attack and then add 7 to the attack roll. And if it doesn't hit, it'd get refunded. But if it hits, he would then have 3 extra mana to dump in an extra 3d8 damage and trigger whatever effect that he wants. Like maybe he'll paralyze the target, or maybe he'll blind it, or who knows, whatever your objective is for sniping that target. There you go. So that's a really quick demonstration of how you can implement and manipulate your action economy to generate more power for your character to do more cool shit. Plus, you're collapsing the amount of actions that you're spending per round. So like if all I'm going to do is make one sniper shot, it's like, great, I'm going to dump all of my effort into this one shot. My round's over. I made my shot that I hit. Great. Take 50 points of damage. Who's next? And then you move on. So super fun stuff. So the way that the Paladin manipulates this, now that in 2024 you use your bonus action to cast a smite spell, when you hit somebody, you already have the strike powers that you can spend mana on, but the Paladin can stack their bonus action mana on top of any mana they spend during the strike. So an 11th level Paladin has a maximum rank of 3. That's 3 mana you can spill in anytime you make an attack. And then if you want to cash in your bonus action, you can add an extra 2 dice for free. So that at 11th level, that Paladin's doing 5d8 damage, and it only costs 3 mana to do it. If he's going to only make 1 attack that round, he could sacrifice his extra attack. Now it only takes 2 mana for him to do it. If he's going to sacrifice his movement because he's not planning on moving, he's already within range of the target he wants to slap, he only has 1 attack he has to make, and now he has 4 mana that he put into it, and he spent 5 mana, but only actually cost him 1 point out of his mana pool. And he's got, and at 11th level, he's got 11 mana. So he could do that. He could do 5d8 damage on top of his weapon roll 11 times before he takes a short rest. If you only make 1 attack, you don't move, and you sacrifice your bonus action to further boost the smite. And you can ignore your cap when you do that. So normally you can't use more mana at a time than your max rank. At 11th level, your max rank as a half caster is 3, third level spells, 3rd rank powers. Normally you can't spend more than 3, but Paladin can ignore that cap. However much mana you can dump in on your Paladin is however much damage you can deal, which is what 2024 did. There's no cap on spell slots anymore for the Paladin. So a Sorkadin, 2nd level Paladin, 18th level sorcerer with 9th level spell slots can spend a 9th level spell slot to deal 98 damage as a Paladin. We can do that too. If you can find a way to cheat the mana in, go ahead and do it. So, but the difference here is that channeling is not spellcasting. So you can't actually do that. You can't have a Sorkadin with a 9th level, like with access to 9th level spells. As a Paladin, you only have a 2nd level Paladin only has access to 1st rank powers. So a Paladin wouldn't be able to use more than 1 mana at a time during a smite, except that they have this bonus action thing going on. So since you decided to be so much of a sorcerer, you don't get access to all the super cool stuff that a paladin can do. You have to be dedicated to being a paladin to be able to ramp into that much damage, but you can spam it all day. So that's the difference. You can't deal 98. You can deal 8 at 20th level. You can deal 8. You can do 3 from bonus, 1 from movement, extra attack. That's 5. So you can do 5 dice worth of damage anytime at 17th level, and plus the 5 damage that you can dump in on top of it as a just by spending mana on your strike power. At 17th level, you can spend 5 mana. The paladin can spend up to 5 extra mana. So by 20th level, a paladin can do 10 damage worth of dice because the damage side becomes a D10 at 17th level. But at 9th level, it's a D8. So most of the game, it's going to be actually a little weaker. It's a D6 until 9th level, then it becomes a D8, and then it becomes a D10. And at the last tier of play, the paladin's damage will become a D10. But the price for that is that it was a D6 at first, and then it becomes a D8 and balances with where it like right inside this range is pretty much exactly where the player's handbook is with the paladin right now. It gets stronger with our system after that, and it's admittedly weaker before that. But you have 26 different strike options that you can use, and again, the paladin can overclock and do more than anyone else. So that's those are some fun changes that we made to the system. Just walking through how this stuff works. Because we're going to start working on the paladin subclasses, so I want to make sure that we were all up to date with like how. Where'd you go, buddy? Oh, I gotta go up. Sorry, paladin. There you go. So that's how the paladin smite works. The channel divinity works, and and then we offer the option. I think this is a more balanced way to do it. Other people may choose differently, but at 6th level with aura protection, instead of using a static bonus to your charisma, which is unlikely to change, instead we have it whatever the max rank of power you can channel as a paladin is the bonus in your aura. At 6th level, you can channel 2nd rank powers or like cast 2nd level spells, so the saving throw bonus is +2. By the time you get to 17, it'll be a +5. So over time, it balances out. By the time you're level 17, you're probably going to have a 20 charisma anyway. So that balances out. This is a little weaker at the front end, but that also helps make sure that you're not just automatically blowing saving throws out of the water your entire campaign until you get to 17th level. Very few people get to 17th level, and I've seen the difference, how it makes. As they continue gaining level, that aura becomes less and less effective until you're at 17th, 18th, 19th level, in which case it's kind of needed to be able to get past some of the good ones. So if you have a lower front end bonus working off here, the spell level that you can cast as your benchmark, that actually allows your characters to gain an edge, but to not just completely frustrate your DM. It's a variant, it's an option. These are all options that players can use. But if you use everything in this book the way it's intended or as written, then it all works together to be able to build a very solid machine inside of the 5e game engine. All these things are meant to work together. So it's kind of an advanced 5e optional system. But again, we're using a different magic paradigm, and these are all the cool tricks that you can do with a well-built mana system, which, not to throw shade at Wizards of the Coast, they're not interested in a mana system. They want to retain legacy, which means they're going to keep the Vancian magic system, and they're going to keep the schools of magic. That's the legacy that they're maintaining. That's their intention. It's couture designers like us that are going to say, we don't have to follow legacy. We can make up our own stuff using the 5e game engine as our toolbox. So having said all that, we're all caught up on we're roughly caught up on how the Paladin works. If you want a deeper dive into that, you can catch last episode and 100 episodes before that to see how all this has progressed. I'm going to take a swig of water, catch up on my notes. How will Monster CR work with a new system? Well, I don't know how CR is going to work with the DMG, but the way that it's currently built right now, great question, by the way. You have a game tomorrow, and you're planning to borrow the idea of ward for some of the creatures where players have to sacrifice health spell slots, or hit dice to avoid the consequences. Nice. Giving them the option helps lean into whatever resources they have available to them. That's a great solution. Great solution. Love it. Okay, so if you tool down with me, we're looking at power characters. This is a bit of a tangent, but we've got a few hours, and I don't think O's are going to take very long, so I don't mind at all. We have making magic items down here on page 59, and again, you have access to this document by just clicking on the Martial Powers playtest content and clicking the Martial Powers button here, and that takes you into the same document that I'm working on. It'll be read-only for you, but if you want to playtest some of this stuff, definitely join my Discord channel and let me know how it went and what your feedback is. My Discord channel is here. Where is it? Discord channel. Here you go. Here's my Discord community. Beep. Phil Kearney Creations. Here you go. So you can join there if you want and jump in. Anyone that's on my Discord is welcome to participate in playtesting when I resume them in November. And if you are a $1 or more contributor to my Patreon, you have first rights to any seat during a playtest. Paying members are paying for access to playtest time when it's available. So on page 59 is where the magic item creation rules are at, and they're still a little rough, but we're figuring them out. And some sample power gear. I think we looked at that recently. And then here's some DM section. We're talking about ways like you can limit what types of disciplines different characters have access to if you want to impose limitations for flavor or like balance reasons at your table. Magic paradigms, talking about universal spell points, elemental, the 4 elements magic, and the color magic paradigm. This is still under construction. We have all the Ravnica and Strixhaven backgrounds converted to powers from spellcasting. So if you're like a Rakdos barbarian, these are all the bonus powers that you would automatically get when you gain access to these different ranks of power. You get cantrips because we give you cantrips, but like at first level you have access to first rank power. Once you get the 5th level as a channeler, you'll have access to second rank powers, and by 17th level, when you become a 5th rank channeler, you'll get these for free as well. So these are on top of all the 10 that you get from your subclass, plus the 23 prep powers that you get just from building your character progression. So that's insane. But there's 178 powers to choose from. So you're hardly exhausting the supply. You just get to really cherry pick the ones that you really want easily. Then we have the Strixhaven college backgrounds. One of the intentions of this system is to get all 13 character classes into a mana system so that if you're playing in Strixhaven, the college doesn't teach you spellcasting now. Instead, it teaches you how to control and cultivate your mana. So the full casters at Strixhaven, they're learning how to be able to ramp up their pool so that they can cast 9th level spells. While the martial characters that are at Strixhaven are learning how to quickly generate mana so that they can keep fighting. And then the half-casters are learning how to balance between the two to be a little bit more, universal, learning both powers and spells as paladins and rangers would. And then you have Mage Tower, which is the sport, the sport of the Strixhaven setting, which is, I think it's a 3-on-3 team where you're trying to get a ball through a hoop on a different side of a field. And using the system, you can have any number of martial characters using their mana to ramp speed, targeting, evasion, teleportation powers to be able to manipulate the battlefield so that they can become really good athletes using their mana supply. So you can build Strixhaven games of Mage Tower and just run Mage Tower campaigns where the DM is controlling a team that's specializing all of their powers to be able to deflect and prevent the enemy team from winning the game. So you can have spellcasters or martial characters bleed into that stuff, but the martial characters can use mana so much more. Like, casters are typically limited to only using mana once per turn because all they can do is cast spells with it, which eats their magic action. While martial power characters can use their action, their movement, their bonus action, their reactions, and their use item options, all 5 forms of action economy, and they can spend mana on every one of them during their turn or off of their turn, and they can get multiple reactions if they're willing to spend mana to get them. So you have a ton of flexibility. A martial character would, unless that full caster is building a kit of spells specifically built to repel these incoming characters, I honestly think martial characters is gonna fucking wipe the floor with spellcasters when it comes to Mage Tower. But once the system gets put out, I'm going to go to the Discord and Reddit channels and ask people if they want to play some Mage Tower using the system. So these are the optional powers that martial characters get by attending Strixhaven and joining one of the colleges. And then down here on page 72, this is where the creatures are at. So the way that things are currently calibrated, and this is the same way I calibrate in my Spelljammer combat and exploration guide to determine the rank of crew that you have at how competent they are at operating siege weapons. So up to CR1 is first rank, CR5 is second, 9 is third, 13 is 4, and anything above 13 is 5th rank or higher. As you can see, that corresponds with the half casting progression that your characters have. So it's super simple and intuitive. The die progression is different for the monsters because they aren't players. Their hit points scale differently. So monsters start with a D4 and eventually becomes a D12. The number of powers that they know increases, which of course you can manipulate, and the maximum ranks, like how much mana they can spend at a time. Like if you're fighting like a CR20 dragon, whenever it uses when it uses a paralyzing strike and smashes you with a tail slap, if it decides to that round, it could do an extra 5d12 damage and stun you when it hits with its tail, for instance. But at 17th plus level, you can really, honestly, after 13th level, you could really abuse characters. But it doesn't get vicious like this until the higher levels. But I've ran a number of level 1 to 20 campaigns, and I know that characters can take this amount of abuse. It'll take at least 3 rounds for you to really threaten a team at this, and if you're building your campaigns correctly, the battle will be over in 3 to 4 rounds anyway. So by the time they're starting to really start to sweat it, they're almost out of the tunnel, and it becomes a quick scare for them. So you can layer on 2 to 4 round encounters over and over again, which is how mega dungeons used to work. It only take you 1 or 2 rounds to get from one room to the next, and in the next room there's another encounter with like maybe 3 rounds of combat, and then you check that room for a turn, and then you move on to the next room, battle, trick, trap, resolve it, loot, move on to the next room. And basically each room in that process takes 20 minutes. And you can do basically 3 rooms in 1 hour, and then you take a short rest. That's how mega dungeons used to work. So when I build out the next playtest campaign, for when this is done in November, we'll start again at 3rd level, and then we'll start mega dungeoning. I'll build out a mega dungeon, we'll have monsters, and that's basically going to be it. You move from room to room, you look for loot, you look for secret doors and treasure and oddities, and then you move on to the new room. There's either going to be a trick, trap, or puzzle that you're going to have to a trick or a monster to deal with, and the combat will take 2 to 4 rounds. If you make a lot of noise, you might attract random monsters from other rooms to come check out what's going on, and we can just have an endless, like I'll just build it 5-room dungeon by 5-room dungeon. So over the course of like a 2-hour playtest, we should be able to get through a 5-room dungeon. So if I have 2 5-room dungeons per day, I can just chain them along deeper and deeper into the abyss. So that's the next campaign that we're planning. That'll be in November for people that are interested in playtesting. Especially like 100. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but there's that different feeling to it. So there's a really different vibe between martial characters and spellcasters, which is what you want. You want them to feel different. So that choice is an aesthetic thing. It's like, I like playing martial characters because I like how this feels, or I like playing full casters, or I like playing a half caster because you like the way that they feel. They all feel differently. And as a result, they perform differently. Their resources are the same, but used differently. If somebody else had built this, I would say it's good design without pointing the finger back at me too much. But that's how you build good design. Like when you're looking at a game system, that's what you want. A unifying mechanic that people understand and can wrap their head around, but find different ways for different types of play, like different types of characters, to use them differently so they feel unique, but work together. So if you go into multi-classing options, I'll be able to do a little bit of all this stuff, but I won't be able to do any of it intensely well. So that's a fun piece. So there's from 4th edition, since we're talking about monsters right now, in 4th edition, there were different role templates that monsters had.
There were artillery, which are ranged attacks. Brutes, which are giant bags of hit points that deal stupid damage. Controllers, which don't do a lot of damage but hinder or stop your characters somehow. Lurkers are sneak attackers. They're basically they're snipers and like decloak sneak attackers. There's skirmishers, which are designed to hit you and then fade away, so that you have to be ready to hit them when they're close to you to deal with them. Otherwise, they'll escape damage. There's soldiers, which by themselves are okay, but if you get a bunch of them together, they start synergizing, kind of like why am I slivers? Thank you. Like a sliver deck or like a soldier deck from MTG. They're designed to the more of them you have together, the greater power they can generate together. And then you have solo bosses, which like they have multiple reactions and actions per turn to be able to fist stomp an entire team. So given these different roles, here's some default powers that you can implement for that basic kit. Ranged Assault allows you just to magic up gear and use powers with ranged attack weapons. Precise Attack lets you gain advantage and roll dice to increase your damage. Maneuver Bonus Attack, you can use a bonus action to have a second attack that round. And that's each round. This is always, you always have Ranged Assault active. Each round you can make a Precise Attack and you get an extra attack on top of it. And each encounter, you either can, during your bonus action, you can make 2 attacks. So one round a creature can make 3 attacks. And then once per encounter as a strike, when they hit a target, it'll deal damage to everyone within 10 feet of it. So like that's just like a generic artillery kit. And for each creature that you have with the artillery tag, basically this is the shit that they can do. And then you have the Brute, and it has its own set of stuff to resist damage. This should actually be adaptive. It's now called adaptive. I need to come back and visit this. Adaptive resistance. And then there's Tripping Strike, which knocks creatures prone. And then Downtrodden is whenever you attack a creature that's prone, or whenever a creature is knocked prone, you gain a reaction to attack them with advantage, obviously, because they're prone now, and deal extra damage. So you can trigger Tripping Strike or the Topple Weapon Mastery, and then use Downtrodden as a reaction power. Each round, a Brute can knock you down and then smash you on the way down. So and then they have Goading Strike, which is if you don't attack them, your disadvantage is everyone else. And Distracting Strike, when they hit you, everyone else gets advantage against you. So everything that the Brute does is designed to make your day worse, lock you down, or punish you for failing a die roll. The Controller, it just locks you in space. Anchor doesn't let you move or teleport. Countering Attack shuts down magic actions, which they can do every round. Countering Attack, I should have that duplicated there. I probably need to come in some. Actually, Countering Attack as a once per encounter is probably going to feel a little bit more fair to the players. And then Telekinetic Bubble is basically either they can either put themselves or somebody else inside of an Odalix Resilient Sphere, but you get to make a Dexterity save every turn to get out of it. So it's a temporary shutdown, but it gives full cover and prevents you from being able to attack in or out of it. So if you're using it defensively, you can protect the big. Like if you have controllers with a boss fight, a controller can put a bubble around the big bad evil until it's the big bad evil's turn. In which case, the controller lets go of the power, and the bubble opens up, and the big bad can hurl its attacks at people. And when it finishes doing that, another controller can pop another bubble up. So if you have 2 controllers that are surrounding the big bad evil guy, he can always have a bubble of control around him until you're able to kill off the controllers or plan your reactions for when the bubble goes down. That's when you attack. So your team can start almost like a video game, pacing when you're making your attacks by using your action economy to lean into when you can damage your opponent. But we'll need to come up with another power for that one. That needs to be replaced. Vanish still, Lurkers. Vanish, you turn invisible. Crouching stance, you have advantage on stealth checks, and you can move freely in the prone position or upright. It's the same thing to you. Precise Attack gives you advantages to attack. First Strike allows you to replace your initiative roll with an attack roll. So the attack roll becomes your initiative count, and if you hit, you deal damage before it's even your turn. And then assassinating damage is when you hit, you deal max damage. So, and then you can look at all these yourself, but they're pretty extensive. And then we have a couple examples of like unique powers for like a minion skeleton that moves fast and is surprising. Like it has bonus actions. So the skeleton, which is normally not super famous for its movement, it becomes really fast and aggressive. An ogre that's really good at controlling and throwing targets away from it or locking them down and choking them out. A T-Rex that's good at basically charge stomping and keeping opponents prone while he chews on them. And then a beholder that can erect defensive bubbles and blockades. Like its telekinetic eye, it can just create telekinetic barriers instead of using the telekinesis power. So I love manipulating beholders. Like mixing up, like one of my favorite beholders I ever built, 2 of its eye stalks were dedicated to summon planar ally. So wherever it looked, it would project an archon. So it had a pair of archons that were basically enslaved to it. And so wherever the eye would look is where the archon would go, and those archons basically acted as hands and humanoid tools for it to be able to use. And if you kill it, it just blinks its eye and it comes back. So like that was a 17th level fight, and that beholder fucking wrecked truck. It killed our rogue, but which is fine because they could reincarnate and stuff at that point, so it didn't really matter. If you kill players, it's only a slowdown. At that point, they just got to get away. So once characters start dying once they're high enough level to resurrect characters, or true resurrection, you don't even need their body anymore. Then as long as just one of them gets away, they're fine. So you can really just take all of the safety wheels off of your campaign by level 17. Just wreck them. It's fun, and it's difficult. It's wrecking them only works like maybe 1 out of 3 or 4 times. So at level 15 plus. Raise, Dead, and Revivification becomes the new heal spell, because at that level, it's not your hit points that are a problem; it's whether you're dead or not. So that pop up and down effect that you get, that's you got to lean into that as a DM. Just make that a feature, not a bug. I'm gonna center up my camera. Okay, so that was monsters. Hopefully, you know where it's at now, so you can go take a look at it yourself. It's on page 75 is where I'm at right now. So if you jump into the document, you can just thumb through this and play with it as much as you want. And if it goes well for you, tell me what worked for you, what you didn't like, what wasn't clear. It's all great feedback for me. I just want to make a strong product, and if you want to make use of it and borrow off of it and let me know what's working for you, if you get a dialogue going with me, I'll make sure I include you in the credits as part of the playtesting team, and I will give you a free copy of the book. Just get a dialogue with me so that I know that you're actually using the system and how it's working for you, because I love adding people to my playtest credits, and this is why I make these things available to you. When I start doing Kickstarters, this is going to be the same thing. I'll announce a Kickstarter project. If you contribute to the Kickstarter, you're going to get a special Discord channel. And I'll have a special Discord channel stream that we'll be able to talk about while I'm designing the Kickstarter project. And if you're a contributor to the Kickstarter, you will have art directing access. If you have suggestions about where to put on a page, I'm open to listening to it and making it work for the style that I want. So I'll be getting there. Basically, this is like a 3-year advertisement for my upcoming Kickstarter project. So strap in, guys. We're going to be here for as long as God lets me do it. So now that I've gone through all of that, let's actually get to the purpose of today, which is to resolve the oath devotions that the paladins have. Whew. Okay, so checking up on my calendar over here. Yeah, okay, cool. We're over here. We're good. What time is it? 10 o'clock? 10:30? I've got an hour and a half left to stream this morning. Good times. Okay, we're going to start with Oath of Devotion. Flavor text, blah, blah, blah. Flavor text, blah, blah, blah. Spells. Are there any spells that need to be swapped here? Those are all good. Like we when you're using the martial strike system, you don't use any of the Paladin Smite spells. Or the Paladin or Divine Smite itself. They're all, like we were looking at earlier, they get replaced. So if we find a smite spell in an oath bonus spell list, we have to swap it. Okay, and we have the channel features. So going back real quick to look at channel divinity, you can channel divine energy to cause different magical effects. All paladins start with divine sense, which is described below. Other paladin features give additional channel divinity effect options. Each time you use channel divinity, choose which effect to create. You can use this feature twice. You regain one of its expended uses when you finish a short rest, and you can regain one use by extending 2 points of mana. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You gain an additional use when you reach Paladin level 11. If a channel divinity effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals your channeling DC. Your channeling DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your choice, strength, wisdom, or charisma, whichever one is best for you. And then the default is divine sense. As a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect celestials, fiends, and undead for the next 10 minutes or until you have the incapacitated condition. You know the location of any creature of those types within 60 feet of yourself, and you know its creature type. Within the same radius, you also detect the presence of any places or objects that have been consecrated or desecrated, as with the Hallow spell. That's technically no different. I'm thinking about tinkering around with what kind of creatures are detected depending on what kind of an oath you choose, but I'm not there yet. So that would change it to, as a bonus action, you can open your awareness to detect different types of creature based on your oath. Blah, 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 blah. That's how I would change it, but I don't have a strong theme yet for each oath. But that's where we're going with this. That's the idea. So maybe we can find a theme amongst the different types of creatures that would make sense for us. It looks like they want us to have 3 types, which means they'll probably overlap, and I'm okay with that. But I want to see. So I don't want to make any assumptions right now. So, Oaths of Power. Paladin gain all their subclass features with the below modifications. We're going to go with Oath of Devotion. Yeah. Make that font bigger. Bigger font. Oath of Devotion. I got the Bee Gees in my head now. As God devoted to me. Devotion. All right. Uh-oh. Somebody's car alarm has gone off. I leave my door open so I can listen to the rain and the crows, but I certainly don't like listening to the car alarm. With God's grace, that'll go away soon. I'm going to close my door. All right, it went away. Sacred Weapon. When you take the attack action, you can expend one use of your channel divinity to imbue one melee weapon that you are holding with positive energy for 10 minutes or until you use this feature again. You can add your charisma modifier to attack rolls to make with that weapon minimum bonus of +1. And each time you hit with it, you can cause it to deal its normal damage type or radiant damage. The weapon also emits bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light 20 feet beyond that. You can end this effect early. The effect also ends if you aren't carrying the weapon. I don't see any reason offhand. You can expend one use of your channel divinity. I could just leave it be. I could change the charisma modifier to max rank, but that would just be changing it to change it. We already have strength being added to weapon damage and weapon. Oh, this is just weapon attacks. This is attacks. Hold on. To attacks. Oof, man, that's nice. And attack rolls you make with that weapon. And each time you hit with it, you can either deal your normal weapon damage or radiant damage, your choice. Okay. Third level. I'm not opposed to this just being charisma. I don't need to change it. If I don't have a good reason to change it, I don't want to change it. Normally when I make changes like that, it's because I don't want. It's an issue of scaling, right? Like with the aura of protection, for instance, giving you your charisma bonus at 6th level as opposed to +2, +3, +4, +5 over time. Instead, is this going to be a +4 and a +5? If you take your channeling powers and make them devoted to something, have them work off of something that's not charisma by removing charisma from the aura of protection and making it bound to the to your level progression, that removes effort, that removes burden from you having to. That's the change. That's the change right there. Okay, I found it. Hold on real quick. Instead of charisma, it's just be your channeling abilities score. That's the actual answer. Whenever it says charisma, it really means channeling ability modifier. So that was the solution that we found. Hey, we found it. You're a genius, Kearney. I know, Kearney. Good job, Kearney. Thank you, Kearney. Same time next week, Kearney. Yes, Kearney. Excellent, Kearney. Good day, Kearney. Kearney. Sacred Weapon. When you take the attack action, you can expend one use of your Channel Divinity to imbue one melee weapon that you are holding with positive energy. For 10 minutes or until you use this feature again, you add your hold on. Your channeling ability modifier. So attack rolls you make with that weapon, minimum, comma. Since it's not bound to your ability, to your charisma specifically, the ability that you're going to choose for your character is going to be better than -1. So you don't need to have that language. Make that with a weapon, and each time you hit with it, you cause it to deal its normal damage type or radiant. So attack rolls to make with that weapon, comma, and you can deal you can choose to deal type or radiant damage, period. Worf. Let's see. When you take the attack action, you can expend one use of your Channel Divinity to imbue one melee weapon that you are holding. Okay, so channeling ability modifier. Let's go pay a visit to dire impact. That is a sustained power. I am okay with duplicating sustained power effects that are slightly different as features, but it's obvious that this is the same thing. Dire impact. When sustaining this power, you can add. Oh no, this is different. While sustaining this power, you can add 1 plus your max rank of power to your weapon damage rolls. In addition, when you make an attack, you can reduce the result by 5, and if it hits, increase the damage by 10. I need to modify that. While sustaining this power, you can add. I like this. While sustaining this power, you can add 1 plus your max rank of damage to your weapon and oh, that's damage rolls. That's right. We're talking about attack rolls. That's completely different, which is completely cool. Let me. In addition, when you make an attack, you can just adds a flat bonus, and let's see. In addition, when you make an attack, I want to add. I was thinking about this yesterday. This is how Dire Impact currently sits, which is super cool. But I was thinking about ranged assault. Ranged skirmishers. While sustaining his power, you gain the following abilities: thrown weapon. Hold on. Ranged. Yeah. Ranged. Didn't I rename that ranged assault? Hold on, F. Artillery, ranged assault. And ranged skirmisher. Which one sounds better, ranged skirmisher or ranged assault? Well, it should actually be ranged assault. Because there's no skirmishing. Let's see. Ranged assault. What does that do? While sustaining his power, you gain the following abilities. Strikes can be channeled when you hit a target with a thrown weapon at far range. Strikes can be channeled. Normally, you can when you throw a weapon, you can normally channel strikes at close range, and ranged weapons can't use strike powers at all unless you're using ranged assault or you're a ranger. This allows your strikes can be channeled when you hit a target with weapons within normal range, and then your thrown weapons are far range. You can create temporary magical ammunition that disappears after you make your attack. There you go. Dire Impact, that's useful. I'm thinking anything sort of. I like the idea of the give and take. But it's too much. 5 is just, it's too much. Dire Impact. Let's go back down to Dire Impact. In addition, when you make an attack, one plus your max rank of power. In addition, when you make an attack, you can reduce the result by your see, if I make it the same thing, it would scale well, but it's already getting wordy. I mean, it only changes once every 5 levels. It's not that bad. Max rank of power, and if it hits, increase the damage by twice that amount. So by 17th level, it's -5 plus 10. At first level, it's -2 plus 4. Honestly, -5 plus 10. There's always an optimization issue with trying to get advantage as often as possible to mitigate that -5, because advantage is worth almost -5. Advantage, disadvantage is basically worth plus or -5. So getting advantage was a priority to optimizers to offset the power attack or sharpshooter feature. But by, again, just like with Aura of Protection, by having it scale with your character's level, it stays more in curve with what your expectations should be. You aren't blowing, like literally blowing things out of the water when you get a lucky hit. So that's the idea. So that's what we're gonna go with for now, and see. We'll play test that, see if it's clunky or not. But this is a sustained power, so you can turn it on, it just stays on. And then in comparison, we have the Sacred Weapon, which is that affects your 2 hit rolls. So you can choose to deal the weapons. Wait, I have language for this. Damage can be radiant instead of type listed in the strike. There you go. The damage can be radiant. You can choose to deal radiant damage that's simple. To attack rolls you make with that weapon, and you can choose to deal radiant damage, period. Okay, great. The weapon also emits bright light. You can end the effect early. And it also ends if you aren't carrying the weapon. When you take the attack action, you can expend one use of your channel divinity to imbue one as when you take the attack action, you can expend one use of your channel divinity to imbue one melee weapon that you are holding with positive energy for 10 minutes until you use the feature again. You add your channeling, I'm reading it again on purpose. You add your channeling ability modifier to the attack roll you make with that weapon, and you can choose to deal radiant damage. Period. You can sustain this effect as a first rank power if you choose. Yeah, I'll make that a separate line. Yeah, you can sustain this effect as a... Okay, so you can do it for free, 10 minutes, there you go. You get 2 uses per day. Or you could turn it on as a first rank sustained power and it stays on. You can sustain this effect as a first rank power if you choose. There you go. So that is good enough. Let's go to the next, which is going to be... Aura of Devotion. You and your allies that have immunity to the charm condition while in the aura protection. Charmed ally enters the aura. That condition no longer has no effect. Let's go back up here. Oaths of Power. Paladin gain all their subclass features with the below modifications. If a feature isn't detailed, isn't described here, it remains as unchanged as written in the player's handbook, period. So there's no reason for me to change Aura of Devotion, so I'm going to skip it. Smite of Protection. Your magical smite now radiates protective energy. Whenever you cast Divine Smite, I do need to change that. Smite of Protection. Because the language has changed. Level 6 variant. I love this, by the way, that they're adding kicker effects to Smite. Smite of Protection. Love kickers. Your magical smite now radiates. Okay, I need to change this. Your magical smite now radiates protective energy whenever your smite now radiates protective energy. Whenever you sacrifice your bonus action to deal damage with a strike power. You and your allies have half cover while in your aura protection. The aura has a benefit until the start of your next turn, which is how powers generally work. Am I missing some text? Nope, I'm good. Your smite now radiates protective energy. Whenever you sacrifice your bonus action to deal damage whenever you sacrifice your bonus action to empower to increase the damage of a strike power, you and your allies have half cover while in your aura protection. Yeah. Because you would make the strike, and then you would sacrifice the bonus action, and you would use the mana. Thinking things through. LeFou, I'm afraid I've been thinking. It's a dangerous pastime, I know. But the old man is Belle's father, and his sanity is only so-so. Starting at second level, when you hit with a melee weapon attack and expend one or more points of mana to channel and choose to channel a strike power, you can use an empowered bonus action to expend the temporary mana gained. You can use your empowered action starting at second level when you hit. Okay, I'm gonna do some quick math here. I'm gonna do some quick math. I'm having thoughts, so hold on real fast. Okay, level, attacks, move, bonus, 1, 2, 5, 9, 11, 13, 17, 20. Okay, at level 1, you have 1 attack. You have a move, you have a bonus action, and you have extra attack. Comes in at level 5. Level 1, you get 1 from move, and you get 1 from bonus. At level 2, hold on. Mana, move, bonus, extra attack. Okay, so at level 1, you've got 1 mana that you can. How much mana can a paladin spend put into smites? At level 1, only 1 mana. At level 2, you can put in 1 mana, and as it's written right now, a bonus action. So I'm going to spread this out a little bit more. Total versus raw. Ba ba ba. 1. And hold on, what is the divine smite? What does the divine smite spell do? Let's go give it a look-see real quick. Divine smite. Divine smite. Divine smite. It is a first level spell. Target takes an extra 2d8 radiant damage, and if it's versus undead, it's 3d8. And you get a free casting of it at level 1. Oh, okay. So let's see here, and then back to here. Total, and over here it's 2. And we're ignoring the undead idea because we're figuring that stuff out. At level 2, we have 1 mana. We have 1 bonus action. We don't have any extra attacks yet. So the total dice that we roll. We got 1 point of mana. Oh wait, at 5th level we can do 2 points of mana. We got still 1 bonus action and then extra attacks. We have 1, so we can potentially put. Oh wait, bonus action. Yeah. 2d6. Here we have up to 4d6. Over here we have 3d8. Here at level 9 we've got up to 3 mana that we can spend. And we've got a bonus action, which gives us still 1 at this point, and the extra attack, which we can spend here. If we don't use extra attack here to gain extra mana. This is what we're experimenting with. How much of this action economy should we allow to pour into a smite power? At 9th level, if we just go with the bonus action assumption, it's 3 mana up front, and then a bonus action that's 4d. It's now 4d8. And then here for the Paladin, as written, it's also 4d8. If we go to 11th level, it's 3 mana here, it's 2 bonus here. That becomes 5d8, while you are still at 4. No, it becomes 5d8 because you get the free mana every turn now, every attack now as well. But we don't grant that. So at 13, we now get 4 and 2. This is going to be 5d8, and this is going to be 6d8. No, still 5d8. At 17, we can channel up to 5 mana. We get a bonus action of 2. We now have wait, something went wrong. Yeah, 68. And now we're at 78, while you are now at 78 as well. And then at 20th level, we have 5, and then 3. And so that is now 8d8. Sorry, at 17th level, it's 7d10. And then it becomes 8d10. And here it is 8d. Nope, that's not right. Yeah, it's 8d8. 2 above. No, it's still 78. Hasn't changed. Okay, so that's our scaling. Now, if we assume undead, uh, 68, 68, 8d8, 8d8. Is that correct on how Paladin scales? Damage increases by 1d8 for each spell slot level above 1. 5, 6, or 7. Is that right? 6 or 7? It's 6 or 7 plus the radiant damage that you automatically get at 11th. Paladin subclass, extra attack, faithful steed, or protection, abjure foes, or courage, radiant strikes. Your strike now carries supernatural power. When you hit a target with an attack roll using a melee weapon or an unarmed strike, the target takes an extra d8 radiant damage always. So this will take you up to 80. This will take you up to 65. But you also get an extra. This would be the bonus that you get for your extra attack, which you get for free. And then, if we're dealing with undead, at this point, it becomes 5d8, 68, 78, 90, 78, 98, 98. That 98 is up to 72 damage versus the 80 that we can do here. But we can only do it when we're using a smite power once. Otherwise, it's going to eat mana every time. So technically, these things kind of pace with each other. This is the amount of dice that you'd be able to do per round as a normal paladin, assuming everything hits and you always use a paladin smite. This is the amount that you use. This is the amount that you could do each round when you use a strike power if you cap out once per round. Because a paladin can only do it once per round. So this is once, well, the paladin once per round plus the extra attack is another +1. But this is without undead, celestials, or fiends. It's only 8d8, which is 64 damage compared to potentially 80. But here it's 64 or 78. And that's in comparison to 70-10 that we have here. So these are actually pretty equivalent to each other. And then at 20th level, when you're capstone and you finally outpace what raw does, you're 20th level, so who fucking cares? At 20th level, you can break everything. It really doesn't matter because you're supposed to be retiring your character at that point anyway. So this is all just shits and giggles at this point. This is what I call campaign cleanup. Once you hit level 20, you're settling grudges. And once all your grudges are settled, you decide how the world ends. And then you start a new campaign. So I feel like that's fair. This is definitely in curve. I am happy. I'm gonna save this. File, save as, packs, powers, patrons, and martial powers. There we go. Paladin 2024 comparison. Okay, so we don't need to allow move action contributing to smites, unnecessary. I mean, obviously, paladins are really running away at the very beginning of the game, but you can generate mana over and over and over again. Once you get to the second level, you can generate mana for free, basically infinitely, to be able to do this as often as you have to spend a point of smite to have the bonus action go into effect. That's true. But you can sacrifice your move action to generate that mana for you, and you can sacrifice your extra attack to generate that mana for you to then trigger the bonus action. So leaving it as only the bonus action that gets to stack with your mana is fine because you're getting free mana from movement and extra attack anyway. So these extra attacks and movement feeds into the amount of mana that you're going to cast, you're going to use. 1 point here, another point here, +1. That's 2 for free automatically. So every round, if you don't move, you can always generate a point of mana to smite with. At 5th level, you can choose to not move, and you can sacrifice one of your attacks. You'll automatically generate 2 points of mana. You can then sacrifice your bonus action to gain another point of mana. You're now dealing 3d6 damage every round forever if you choose. By 9th level, you've pretty much caught up. 2 mana here for free. You're going to spend a point of mana for the privilege, and then you're going to get your extra one. So for 1 point of mana, you're doing 48 damage, while the raw paladin has to spend a 3rd level spell slot to deal this much. So you're spending 1 mana plus action economy for your 48. It's spending a 3rd level spell slot to get anywhere from 48 to 68, depending on whether it makes an extra attack or not. So we're slow rolling into it, But there's so many more things that you can do, and you're not limited to doing it just once per round. The bonus action is only a once per round kicker, but you can smite as often as you have attacks. And again, you can generate that mana for free by yourself. I'm okay with it having less spike damage. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I know that's going to get pushback from optimizers and people at the front end that might complain that like level 1 to 5, when most of the campaigns are running, that the Paladin is weaker than the Paladin is, or rather all the other classes get to do this -1 rank of power themselves already also, and that this doesn't really outclock the Ranger at all, because it doesn't. I'm okay with that. I think this will probably end up being fair. And if we're finding that the numbers go wonky at some point, we can always allow movement and extra attack mana to be added to the total stack of mana. So, but that's our progression table. I'm okay with that. It ends up being stronger in the end, but for the most part, it stays fairly even. I see that I can afford to have that bonus die go in against undead, demons, and angels. So I'm happy to see that. So let's go ahead and add that back in so we can minimize the difference. Spellcasting with power, lay on hands. The damage can be radiant. When you use timer, when you smite a celestial, fiend, or undead, you deal an extra power die of damage. When you use Paladin Smite, is it Paladin's Smite? Nope, just Paladin. Nope, wait. Yeah, it is Paladin's Smite. All right, we have an hour. We're looking good. Starting at second level, when you hit with a melee weapon, good. The damage can be radiant instead of the type listed in the strike's power description. When you use Paladin Smite to damage a celestial fiend it's just undead and fiends, right? Is that correct? Where'd it go? Fiend or undead? When you damage a fiend or undead, you deal an extra power die of damage. Okay, there you go. So that now works in curve with everything. Should be fine. Let's go with where is it? Comparisons. I'm okay with that. 98-72 versus 70 versus 80. I'm okay with that. It's a little stronger, but it's fourth tier. It's fine. 68-78, that clocks perfectly. That clocks perfectly. That clocks perfectly. This is a little weaker. So by level 9, we're tracking perfect with them. We're a little shy This could be up to 40, 32, 24. This could be 18 to 24, considerably less. Jeez, what if we did 2 power dice of damage against your special enemy? $46 versus 3d8, that would balance. 5d6 versus 5d8. Oh no, that's assuming the extra attacks. Let's get rid of the extra attack option. There goes that car alarm again. A little less. It balances that. Okay, so by 5th level, it's balancing out. It's almost balancing out. And by 9th level, it completely balances out. And then by 17th level, so from 9th to 17th level, it's 48 here, and it's 56 here, 48, 56. But you have the extra attack that you automatically get the extra D8 on. So that's relevant. This is at 11th level, right? 78, 88, no, 78 still. That balances 98, 98. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. 72 here, between 70 and 80 here. Yeah, I'm good with this. Okay, cool, we're good. I am just going through the math, looking it over again, thinking about criticisms and questions. Yes, it is weaker until it starts balancing out around 5th level. By 9th level, it's solid. Most campaigns only go till 7th level, so the Paladin will always be weaker. But the Paladin can do multiple smites per turn, just gets free mana once, if you choose. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, cool. Now we have that figured out. Now we can really get serious about what kind of enemies might be devoted to each oath. Like we could go like instead of fiends, like maybe oath devotion. Maybe it's well, I don't see oath of devotion changing. Anyway, it's an idea. I'm still tinkering with it. We have the smite protection that now works. The aura has this benefit until the start of your next turn. Your smite now radiates protective energy whenever you sacrifice your bonus action. So that's where we were, the bonus action, right? So whenever you sacrifice your bonus action to increase the damage of a strike power, you and your allies have half cover while in your aura of protection. The aura has this benefit until the start of your next turn. I love that, by the way. That's a great power. Back down to the Oath of Devotion. Holy Nimbus. As a bonus action, you can imbue your aura of protection with holy power, granting the benefit below for 10 minutes or until you end them, no action required. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore your use of it by expending a level 5 spell slot. What did I miss? Smite of Protection, Aura of Devotion. Smite of Protection is 3rd level. 6. Oh, this is 15. Is that when it comes in? Yeah, 15. Okay. This isn't third. This isn't the 11th. This is the 7th. This is the 13th. I have to remember that. Level 13 variant, Smite of Protection. That's starting to make more sense. And then Holy Nimbus. Pilfer some language because I know we're going to change it.
As a bonus action, you can imbue your aura of protection with holy power, granting the benefit below for 10 minutes or until you end them. No action required. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore your use of it by expending 5 mana. Holy Ward, you have advantage on any saving throw or you are forced to make by a fiend or undead. Whenever an enemy starts its turn in the aura, that creature takes radiant damage equal to your charisma modifier plus your proficiency bonus equal to your channeling ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus. The aura is filled with bright light. That is sunlight. Yeah, and you can regain it 10 minutes. I've been fiddling the idea with like making it a sustainable power. It's like that'd be like a third rank. You can also restore the use of this when using. Once you use this feature, no action required. Period. Here we had, you can sustain this effect as a first rank power. When you When you use this feature, you can choose to sustain it. Nah, I'll drop that. I'll drop that for now. That sounds like a level of complexity. It's just the 10-minute conversion into sustained power. I think that's just a step too far. Once you use until end, no action required. 1, 2, 3. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore your rest. Period. You can also restore your use of it by expending 5 mana, no action required. Period. Okay, I am now content with that oath. Let's just copy the whole block. I guess delete that. And let's go with the next oath. I'll probably do 1 page a piece for these when we actually build the book. I can easily fit this oath. Like this oath can probably fit on a half page and then have a half page illustration underneath it. And then the next oath, hopefully I can also fit that in a half page and put an illustration underneath that. So we'll have the Paladin on a page, and then we'll have each oath with an illustration next to it. And then we'll do a splat book with the rest of the oaths. Built out with these ideas and martial powers. So, oath of devotion. No, oath of glory. Okay, so let's see. Channeling ability modifier. Yeah, that was a change. Oath of glory. Sorry for the height of heroism. Inspiring smite. Ooh, this will be good. You can use one of your temporary hit point. Oh my god, that's great. Level 3, inspiring smite. I love it. Inspiring smite.
When you use the Paladin's Smite feature, you can expend a use of your channel divinity 2. When you use, let's just cut and paste, and then we'll float it. Two. Copy, paste, cut, paste. You can expend a use of your channel divinity to generate temporary hit points. To imbue, to bless, distribute temporary hit points. Interesting. Huh. So distribute temporary hit points to creatures of your choice within 30 feet of yourself, which can include you. The total number of hit points equals 2d8 plus your paladin level. That's 2d8 is the minimum of the spell. It's just 2d8. Huh. Plus your paladin level. I could just leave that be. I did have to change the language because of the Paladin Smite versus when you cast Divine Smite. Flip. Let's see. How do we want to do that? When you use the Paladin's class feature, expend a use of the channel divinity to distribute hit points to creatures of your choice within 30 feet of yourself, which can include you. The total number of temporary hit points distributed equals up to 20 plus 16. That's 36. Total of 36. It'll average 29. Divide among the creatures. Chosen creatures however you like. I like that. I like that you can do that. I'm not in love with the 2d8 plus your paladin level. Paladin Smite feature is going to be at least 2 mana, and eventually it'll be up to 10 mana. Oh, 8 mana. The total number of temporary hit points equals 2d8 plus your paladin level. The total number of temporary hit points equals the damage equals the total Yeah, equals the damage dealt. That's going to take your weapon damage, your stat bonus, yeah, your weapon damage and all the bonuses there, plus your smite that you're automatically channeling, which is going to be a minimum of 2 when you use this feature. So you have to spend a point on your own and then allow the bonus action to kick it. So it's going to be at minimum 2d6 plus weapon. So whatever you roll, 2d6 plus your, say you're rolling a d8 plus, what, 4? So d8 plus 4, that's going to be 8 hit points plus 2d6 is going to be 7. So 8 plus 7 is 15. And compare that to when you get access to this, which is going to be 2d8 plus 3. So it's going to be up to 19. Eventually, this will cap at 36 hit points. While if you really want to dump a shitload of mana into it, it would be up to 8d10 damage. And if you crit, it'll double. So, but occasionally you'll hit something that's resistant to or even immune to it, in which case you wouldn't be able to use it. If it's immune, it wouldn't matter because you didn't deal any damage. If you hit and it has resistance to the attack, then you're only going to provide half the hit points. I like that, and I think that scales better at higher levels. And since it's costing you, yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm good with this, which can include you. Period. Where are we at? 11, 20. Okay, we're doing okay. So we got another 40 minutes. The total number of hit points equals the damage dealt, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. And Bob becomes your uncle, and we're good. Next. Glory spells. Anything in here that we need to swap? God, the Guiding Bolt is insane. I love that. Peerless Athlete. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 use of your Channel Divinity. Whoa. This has 2 Channel Divinity features? That's neat. Did this have 2? Did I miss that? Was this 2 Channel Divinity feats as well? Channel Divinity. No. And no. Okay, so Orthoglory just happens to have 2 Channel Divinity things. Peerless Athlete. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 use of your Channel Divinity to augment your athleticism for 1 hour. You have advantage on strength and dexterity checks, and the distance your long and high jumps increases by 10 feet. This is extra. Peerless Athlete. Let's compare that to here. You can end this effect. Okay, so I don't need to list Peerless Athlete. That's fine. Aura of Alacrity. Let's see if we need to make any changes. Speed increases by 10 feet. In addition, whenever an ally enters your Aura of Protection for the first time on a turn or starts their turn there, the ally's speed increases by 10 feet until the end of the next turn. I don't need to augment Aura of Alacrity. So let's just go to Glorious Defense. This. All right. Level 20 variant. Living Legend. Hot daggity dig. Even if we don't need to change anything, we do need to change the mana language. And flip. As a bonus action, you gain the following benefits below for 10 minutes. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
following benefits below for 10 minutes. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again. Carry 1, 2, 3. Charismatic. You can also restore your use of it by expending 5 mana. No action required. Good. Charismatic. As your bonus action with an otherworldly presence, you have advantage on all charisma checks. If you fail a saving throw, you can take a reaction to reroll it. You must use a new roll. Unerring Strike. Once on each of your turns, when you make an attack roll with a weapon and miss, you can cause that attack to hit instead. That's insane, and I fucking love it. Okay, that's really straightforward. I don't need to make any changes to it. The language is clean. We made the revisions that we needed. Let's move on to Oath of the Ancients. The is important for alphabetical listing. The Ancients. 1, 2, 3. Let's beep. Nature's Wrath. This could be like plants and beasts. That would make sense. Maybe monstrosities and aberrations for glory, and vengeance could be angels and demons. It's not a horrible. I'm still stewing on it. Let's just let it cook. We're gonna let it cook a little bit longer. Oath of the Ancients. Nature's Wrath. As a magic action, you can spend 1 use of your channel divinity to conjure spectral vines around nearby creatures. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 15 feet of yourself must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained condition for 1 minute. A restrained creature repeats the save at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself with a success. Okay, we're going to turn that into a maneuver. Nature's Wrath. As a magic action, you can expend 1 use of your channel of divinity to conjure spectral vines around nearby creatures. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 15 feet of yourself must succeed on a strength saving throw or have the restrained condition. As a maneuver, you can expend 1 use of it. So you can use it as a bonus action or an action, your choice. It'll cost you 2 mana to get the channel divinity back. Each creature has a restraint condition. On a success, period. For up to 1 minute, period. A restrained creature repeats the save at the end of each of its turns, have the ending the effect on itself on a success. I'll leave that there. Technically, we don't have to mention that because durations are automatically subsumed to be 1 minute long when we give it a power listing. But I'm okay with that. So that's good. Nature's Wrath, good with it. Oath of the Ancient Spells. Let's check our spell list real quick. Plant Growth, Protection, Ice Storm, so Tree Strike, awesome. Aura of Warding, this is level 6. Ancient magic lies so heavily upon you that it forms an Eldritch Ward, blunting energy from beyond the material plane. You and your allies have resistance to necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage while in your Aura of Protection. I love that. And no need to change it. Undying Sentinel. When you are reduced to 0 hit points and have not been killed outright, you drop to 1 hit point instead, and you regain a number of hit points equal to 3 times your Paladin level. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Additionally, you can't be aged. You can't do so until you finish a long rest, or, since it's level 11, it'd be 3 mana. So we're going to include Undying Sentinel. Three, 7, 15. It's level 15, right? I'm not fucking crazy again, am I? I keep feeling like I'm going mad. Yeah, level 15.
as a what? What's this happen? Why do I feel like I just went mad? Okay, I see what's going on. Get out of there, Kearney. With the Ancients, is that where we're at? Glory, power, devotion, glory, Ancients, level 3. God, I feel like I'm going mad. To conjure spectral vines. Why am I still looking at... Oh, that's right. Okay. Nature's Wrath. Cool. And then there was Aura of Warding, and then we have Undying Sentinel. Thank you. Undying Sentinel. Oh, I see what's happening. I have a search window open. That's why that was blanking out so bad on me. I've stopped going mad. Or of warding is unnecessary. Now, okay, my madness is abated. When you are reduced to 0 hit points and not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead, and you regain a number of hit points equal to 3 times your paladin's level. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or expend 3 mana. No action required. Or by expending 3 mana. I know it's 15th level and you have access to 4th level stuff, but this is basically a self-raised dead, essentially. So spending 3 mana is appropriate. Holy Nimbus as a... Okay, so Holy Nimbus is now going to be replaced with Elder Champion. Thank you. Hey, we managed to fill our time. Nice. Pardon the pun. Diminish defense. Diminish defiance. Regeneration. Swift spells. As a bonus action, you can imbue your aura of protection with primal power, granting the benefit below for 1 minute or until you end them, no action required. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Let's go here. Oath of with primal. Power, granting the benefits for 1 minute. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore your use of it by expending 5 mana, no action required. Diminish defiance. Enemies in the aura have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells. Enemies in your aura have disadvantage when you force them to make a saving throw. Period. Because you have channeling, you have spell casting, you have maneuvers, powers in general, as well as weapon masteries and other stuff like racial stuff. I think all of it should be at disadvantage. So sign in. I'll message you. Send both for your good. When you force them to make a saving throw. Regeneration. At the start of each of your turns, you regain 10 hit points. Cool. Swift spell. Whenever you cast a spell that has a casting time of an action, you can cast it using a bonus action instead. That is fantastic. Swift spells. Whenever you cast a spell that has a casting time of an action, you can cast it using a bonus action instead. Yeah, I love that. I'm fantastic with that. So we're just gonna let that sit. And we have one more to do. So let's scoop up our last one, and then we'll be done for the day. Oh, I am happy. Oath of Vengeance. Yeah. Oath of Vengeance. How do you go? Punish evildoers. Whatever. Vengeance spells. Do you have something I need to remove? I'm okay. I am okay with Paladin using Hunter's Mark. It is a shitty version of Mark of Prey. So if they want to add that on, I'm fine with that. Ranger gets the Mark of Prey, which is infinitely better than Hunter's Mark. So them having Hunter's Mark, that's cool. Vow of Enmity. When you take the attack action, you can expend one use of the channel divinity out of Vow of Enmity, 30 feet, advantage on attack rolls against the creature for 1 minute, or to use this feature again. If the creature drops to 0 hit points, you can transfer it. Is there any reason for me to alter that? Take the attack action. You can expend one use of imbue one weapon. So you add your channeling ability modifier. That's where that was necessary. And then here we did the damage dealt. And then here as a maneuver, which means you can use an action or a bonus action instead of a magic action. And then here we're looking at Vow of Enmity, but I don't see any reason for us to include Vow of Enmity, so I'm going to skip it. And let's look at Relentless Avenger instead. Your supernatural focus helps you close off a foe's retreat. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can reduce the creature's speed to 0 until the end of the current turn. You can then move up to half your speed as part of the same reaction. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Your supernatural focus allows you to cast focus when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack. Okay. Soul of Vengeance, you can, if you take Opportunist, you can have multiple reactions per turn if you want. But it's going to sacrifice some of your attacks, and if you sacrifice all of them for extra reactions, you become a great tank, but you can't perform Divine Smite. You can't use Paladin Smite, though you can certainly use Strike Powers. So I don't think I need to change Relentless Avenger either. We got 20 minutes left. Soul of Vengeance. Immediately after a creature under the effect of a Vow of Enmity hits or misses with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature if it's within range. It's not an opportunity attack? Okay. And then the final one, Avenging Angel. We will need to reword that, but the rest of it is fine. Let's check our language again up here. If a feature isn't described here, it remains unchanged as written in the player's handbook. Copy there. Let's drop down here for the Ranger, because that's some really good, useful language. Conclaves. Rangers gain their subclass features. If a feature isn't described here, it remains unchanged. Copy. Rogue. Rogues gain all their subclass features with doesn't appear, blah blah blah. Let's go to Monk and do the same wording. And then we'll go finish up with a Vengeance. Delaying the inevitable. Monks. Fighter. And Barbarian. Barbarian. Ba ba la ba. Barbarian. Blah blah. Barbarian. Blah de blah de blah. Barbarian. Brutal power. Tabs of Power. Barbarians gain all their subclass features with the below modifications. If a feature isn't described here, it remains unchanged as written in the player's handbook. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's in there. We'll probably have to add extra language like that for the beginning of the class for all the features themselves. But now we got those in there, we can drop down to... I'm doing the full marshals, Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, Rogue, and then the hybrid hybrid half-casters of Paladin, then Ranger. And then I'm doing the artificer and warlock separately. Paladin. Let's see how the paladin shapes up. Avenging Angel. Avenging Angel. And the one avenging me. Avenging Angel. Pop. Pop. Beep pop. And we'll use pickup language from here. $10. As a bonus action, you view your aura of protection with vengeful power. As a bonus action, you gain the following benefits listed below for 10 minutes. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or you restore it. God damn it. Did I fuck that up again? As a bonus action, you gain the benefits listed below for 10 minutes. Cool. Okay, flight. You sprout spectral wings from your back, have a fly speed 60, you can hover. Whenever an enemy starts its turn in aura protection, that creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the frightened condition for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. Attack rolls against the frightened creature have advantage. Period. There you go. Done. Dunzo Baranzan. Okay, so that's been resolved. We're going to do some cleanup here real quick. If anyone's out there with any kind of questions, this is a great time to ask. I've got technically 15 minutes left, but if there are no questions, I'll go ahead and start wrapping up here. So we've finished. Good. Features. Yeah. Okay, so we've got the Ranger done now. We have the Paladin done. The Monk, Rogue, Fighter, Barbarian, they're all done. And so next thing we're going to work on, next time we'll be back will be Monday night. And we will probably work on we're going to do a sweep over the artificer to make sure that we like the infusion, the changes to infusions. We're going to do a deep dive on the artificer, making a spell point artificer using the mana system that we have here. So we're going to see a lot of changes like this throughout the entire artificer class, but that's going to be its own splat book, kind of like how Spellpoint Sorcerers is its own book. Spellpoint Warlocks is already published. Eldritch Knights and Tricksters is a separate book which is already published. So we'll have Spellpoint Artificers, Spellpoint Sorcerers. When we go and redo the core mechanics book, which deals with spellcasters, we're going to implement some of these, like the aura requiring 5 mana instead of 5th level spell slots. Pretty obvious. We'll make note of that, but save all the heavy lifting the paladin to be here, because technically in the core mechanics spell point system, we don't have martial powers implemented. So the smite spell, divine smite, is still something that the paladin would use in the core mechanics. But when you use martial powers, Martial powers will override and replace anything in the core mechanics book or in the player's handbook. So core mechanics is just spellcasting in general. We'll have some little cool tricks and changes for each of the full casters and half casters that are there. And then martial powers redoes half casters like a full rebuild, and then all of the martial classes gain the mana system like we've been talking about here as well. So yeah, so when we're back on Monday, we'll go through Artifice. I suspect those will be resolved maybe like in an hour. And then the rest of the time that we have Monday night will be spent on continuing reformatting the. We'll be diving into the Warlock. So we have the Spellpoint Warlock book, and we have Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica. Those are both Warlock books that need to be updated. And once we have the Warlock book updated, we'll be clear to start chewing on the Knights and Tricksters rebuild. Once the Knights and Tricksters rebuild is done, then we'll go back into core mechanics and rebuild all of that. Basically riffing off of the information that we garnered from core mechanics, Knights and Tricksters, and Spellpoint Warlocks, feed it all back into core mechanics in a simplified, like each of these deeper dive splat books provide more customized and more mana bending options, while the core mechanics book is designed to minimize, to swap out the minimum needed to make the system work as written in the in the Player's Handbook 2024. So it's a minimal lift, like what's the bare minimum we need to do to make mana work for those classes unchanged. And then each splat book is like, well, if you think that's cool, let's dive deeper into it. And then this martial powers book like really dives in, like let's really unhook this and go for it. So we'll have a mention in the core mechanic book is like, hey, these are simple options, but if you want a deeper dive, here's a bunch of books you can check out. Blah, and it will put you to my bundle. So yeah, so this is done for now. This is all coming along really nicely. I don't think there's anything else I really need to attend to in the moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cut out now. That's it for today. So hey, if you're interested in this stuff, check it. If you came in late, check the beginning of the stream because I walked through a lot of stuff and we looked at some different ideas. Thanks a lot to Saz for asking great questions and being interested. I appreciate you. And anyone else, like, subscribe, bell icon, notification. I'm here 10 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning. I'm doing Eberron maps and tokens. I do book art in the mornings. Whatever book is my priority right now. So the Eberron Adventure is the next book I have on my docket to complete and then roll out into publication. Once that happens, I'll then roll over and we'll start making all the all these color mana books and my Spelljammer books the priorities. We'll pick one of them and then we'll go back through and clean up the artwork and make changes to the layouts and stuff that are necessary given the changes to text. And then we'll publish that. And so on Monday through Friday, we're working on next to publish book artwork, whether it's tokens, maps, or actual book art. Right now, we're finishing up the tokens for the Eberron Adventure, and then we'll start doing actual book art. And then on Tuesdays and Friday lunchtime, I have a lunch stream where we do development like this. It just depends on what book I'm working on right now. And then on Mondays and Thursday nights, we do a few hours of mechanical development. And right now, a lot of that mechanical work is all revolving around 2024 and the color mana system to get that stuff updated. On Saturday morning, here right now, this is my brunch stream from 9 till noon in Seattle time, which is noon till 3 on the East Coast. That's my workbench where I work on either commissions, artwork that's really grabbing my attention right now, or development work. I also do DM prep for my campaigns. So sometimes I want to spend time exploring an idea, like the diplomacy dungeon, or like the Rubble Belt hex crawl, the Colorland hex crawl system that we've been developing. Like I built a lot of that stuff here on my Saturday morning streams. So when we get done with this before November, we'll spend time building out a slew of 5-room dungeons to layer and cascade into each other throughout the mega dungeon that we're going to build as our playtest arena to use these classes inside of. So if you're interested in that, definitely join my Discord server, which is linked down below in the description. People that are $1 or more contributors to my Patreon when I am going to begin playtesting for something. I announce it on Patreon first. So if you're interested, you can respond to the, hey, I'm interested. These are times that work for me. I'd love to be on board. God bless you for being on board. And then I farm it out to my Discord community. If I can get 5 people, I need at least 3 to play. So if I can get 3 to 5 people on my Discord channel, I'll just run with who we got. If I'm having a difficult time syncing people's availability with the times that I am available, then I'll start farming it out to the larger Discord, Reddit, and Twitter communities that I'm a part of. And we typically end up with 3 to 5 people. So if you're interested in this stuff, if you're interested in the Spelljammer work, we've got some more Spelljammer stuff that's coming up. The Mecha and Kaiju book, as well as Spelljammer subclass options. And we've been building the Vocath Fleet Battle as an expansion of Zaraxis as an alternate encounter during the third part. Yeah, so this will be the end of today. I'll be back Monday morning and then Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday lunch, Wednesday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday lunch, Saturday brunch. And that's my loop. So I'm here 10 times per week. So if this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, and I am now done advertising my shit. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot for being here. And here is the illustration from today. Cheers.